LitRPG and its evolutions. Alright, so I don't know what evolution we are in LitRPG, but let's try and start back at the beginning. So back at the beginning, we basically have like Sword Art Online, we have some anime shows that are doing video games mixed with like stories and kind of connecting the two together. Then we had a whole bunch of translated novels, mostly from Russia. We had some from Korea that were like, hey, we're doing this thing where it's video games and real world and like putting them together. Do you think this is cool? And people were like, that is freaking awesome. We want more of that. And so that led to like kind of the Western lit RPG, which we had all kinds of different flavors. But it usually came down to like a MMORPG kind of style. And there was VR style. So it's like you get in virtual reality and you go play the game, and when you're playing the game you get all these really cool stats and it has great effects there, and then you live in the real world too, and then there's the interplay between the two of those. Then there is also like isekai, where you're like, hey, we're going to another planet or like another world, and it has fantasy and stuff. Truck Kun showed up quite a bit in that, and if you know, you know. That is kind of as it progressed. Then we had more stories where it was less about the video games and the world kind of connecting together, and it was you're going into a world that has video game stats. Now we're in an area where people are getting sent to worlds where they have systems that are connected, and we've got cultivation stuff going on, we've got some sci-fi stuff going on, we've got fantasy stuff going on. It's all kind of intermingled in there. And we've also got a lot of apocalypses started to crop up. But we've also got other stories like academies, which have stats now attached to them. And that's also, even the stats have varied. So when we started off, stats used to be very crunchy. And LitRPG got defined as when you have stats that show real growth in the series or books of the character. Hey, they get stronger, they have a stat that, you know, the number goes up. Up number, up power. Good. Double thumbs. But when you have those kinds of like, hey, that's super crunchy, of like there's a lot of numbers and stats that are involved, everything's getting calculated out, it's sometimes even more advanced than a D&D like sheet. You're going into, hey, this is more like a video game, because there's a lot of stuff that gets like measured and fixed and understood in the back end, which was a lot. Trust me, so much math. I don't do math. I have dyscalculia. That was so much math. I don't know why I did that to myself, but I did. Anyway, it's great, good, cool, yeah, interesting. My mind's losing itself. But when you come to it, that was crunchy side. Then there was a softer side. So softer side, you might have stuff like cultivation. You might have, hey, we have some stats that point to, hey, I've gotten stronger, but it's not as every single point counts, every single point is calculated. So these are more softer limits and levels and all that kind of stuff. So that became what is known as gamelit, or is referred to as gamelit. But LitRPG and gamelit, it's more of a sliding scale, as I feel. Probably get some comments on that. Don't worry about it. It'll be a good time. But that's kind of how we've evolved. We've gone from crunchy to not so crunchy to everything in between, to we have VR MMORPGs, to we've got some fantasy stuff, we've got some sci-fi stuff, we've got academies, we've got all different kinds of things threaded together with one another. But the underlying concept is we've got video game systems in stories and just seeing how that works. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, go check out some LitRPG. And you can check out my stuff, Amazon /Michael Chatfield, and go grab a copy right now.